Thank you, Dr. Green. Trustees, is there any board matters at this time?
Board President, if I may, I do have a couple of points I would like to bring
Sure.
out to our team and the public.
Sure.
Just wanted to update the board. I am working hard to get some of my CBAs. I'm scheduled for class on Saturday and Sunday, and thank you, Leslie, for keeping us on point in the chat. I also would like to thank Ms. Venable and her team for addressing a lot of the roadway issues that were circling the Lathrop campus. Thank you so very much for taking care of a lot of those potholes that the teachers and administration and parents were experiencing. I would also like to just lift that Trustee Bland and I were on a policy meeting with Bussey Center yesterday. They have a lot of great information, a lot of things that they're working on. I really appreciate hearing from them as they're working hard on our Head Start programs. I also would like to let you know, public and our stakeholders, that if you visit the page of Facebook for Southfield PD, they are doing a stimulation driving and police engagement forum, if you will, out on the square over on Civic Center in Evergreen. But if you visit their page, they are asking that you register because it is a first come, first serve initiative. I would also like, and the last thing that I would also like to thank all of the parents, teachers, students, stakeholders as we remain in a challenged time, but trusting the process, data, and facts as the district continues to work on one accord in educating our children. Thank you all for being so patient as we work through these challenging times. Thank you.
Well said. Any other board matters?
Board President, no board matter, but I just wanted to announce Trustee Rice joined, I think at 7:03 p.m.
Welcome. Trustees, any other board matters at this time?
Yes, Board President. Good evening. So first I want to start off by saying happy month of the young child for Bussey and all of our little babies. I am wearing my purple scarf here. Also, happy Autism Month as well, here in the month of April. I would like to also mention that I will be participating in the Spring Institute with MASB this coming weekend as well. And I'm very proud and humbled to share with the board and the community that I received my notice from MASB that I have achieved the Master Diamond Award. That is the fifth award. There's a total of 7 to achieve in total, and the highest being the President's Award. And so that award, and once you get to the level of the Master Diamond Award, it really, for me, I believe, demonstrates advocacy, because you, in addition to the CBA courses, there are a number of things that you have to do and demonstrate that you're doing within the education realm and within the community to demonstrate your advocacy. So I'm really proud and happy about that. And so I'm proud and happy to represent our school district. So I'm really excited about that. Also, I have achieved the advocacy certificate, and I am one course away from achieving the data certificate, which are the 2 certificates in addition to the awards that you can receive. So I'll be sharing out and continuing to share and continue to give my commitment to just being a better board member, being a better advocate for children and education. Also, I want to share, I did send this to the district to share out, and so I'm sure the students have already received it from their principals, but just want to share it here that, and actually the deadline is tomorrow, the Michigan Chronicle and TCF Bank scholarships are open. And so if you go to, I believe if you go to Michigan Chronicle's website, it's called the SWAG scholarship, and so it's for students to apply for it. And it looks like the deadline is tomorrow. So hopefully you're able to take advantage of that if this is your first time hearing about that.
Well,
So
Trustee Smith Thomas,
yes.
don't you all. One of my sons did swag a few years ago, and so I'm feverishly looking for scholarships for my graduating senior, and I believe that swag is limited to Metro Detroit schools. I'm sorry, not Detroit-based high schools for this year.
Oh, really?
They've limited, which I just want people to look forward, and
Okay.
I don't think that you can be Oakland County members, can't apply this go around.
Mhm.
Good scholarship, but I
that's too
believe they're
bad.
limited.
Well, I will continue to share as information is coming to me. I know I've shared a couple sorority-based scholarships with the district, with the superintendent, and so I'll continue to share as I get information. I'll share it on to pass on for our students and our families. That's all I have. Thank you.
We appreciate you. Absolutely. Any other board matters?
Board President, if I may,
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to call attention to the special election that's being held on Tuesday, May 4th for qualified electors in the city of Southfield for precinct 22 only. This special election is for the Oak Park Public Schools. They are requesting a bonding proposal to be approved. The voting will take place at precinct 22, St. John's Armenian Church. They are asking for $54,445,000 to do remodeling, furnishing, refurnishing, and equipping and re-equipping school buildings, acquiring and installing instructional technology and instructional technology equipment for school buildings. So I just wanted the community to know in precinct 22 that there is a special election that you need to vote in on Tuesday, May 4th. And that's all and I too will be attending the Spring Institute. And congratulations, Trustee Smith Thomas. That is awesome. That's a big accomplishment because we know how long it probably has taken you to get there. And that takes a lot of diligence. So congratulations. You should be proud. And we're proud of you.
Thank you. And I'll continue to keep you all posted and updated as I do with my friendly reminders. I want all of the trustees here to achieve the President's Award.
All diamonds
That's
and presidents.
pressure.
Absolutely.
That's pressure. That's pressure. That's peer pressure. But we are definitely proud of you. Any other board matters at this time?
Board President, not a board
Yes, ma'am.
matters, but I did just want to clarify for the audience that the city of Southfield and Lathrop Village is divided up separately for some portions of our city for school districts. So as Trustee Bland mentioned, that specific special election, those students in that specific boundary do not attend Southfield Public Schools. They are actually part of another school district. So I just wanted to clarify that for our listening audience.
Much appreciated. Actually, it's back to you, Report of the Superintendent.
Thank you. You are too kind. We have a lot of guests here this evening to join us. But first, I'd like to begin with sharing our rationale for still being virtual. As we shared last meeting, the state of Michigan is no longer under an official state of emergency, which then required school districts, specifically that of boards, to come back for in-person sessions. There was a caveat in the law, which we were able to leverage, that being if your local community declared a state of emergency, you could continue in the virtual capacity. We are not grateful to be under a continued state of emergency in the city of Southfield, but that does afford us the opportunity to continue virtually. And quite honestly, it affords our community an opportunity to engage with our board meetings at a larger rate than they would if we were in person. So I did want to clarify that our Board of Education remains compliant with the Open Meetings Act by continuing with the virtual meetings. The current state of emergency for the city of Southfield goes through Labor Day, which is in September of this year. However, it may be rescinded at any given time. So we will keep everyone abreast of the changes that are forthcoming with the state of emergencies. Any questions about that before I move on to the next? And just for the record, I did email the state of emergency announcement to Brad Banasset at MASB, and I do have in writing from him that we are fully compliant with what we are doing in the event that we have any challenges in the near future. Next, I will ask the fabulous Return to Learn team come forward and share where we are, where we're headed, and what they have planned for the summer. I believe presenting with Nancy this evening, we have Miss Yvonne and Miss Jessica and Mr. Rodell. So Nancy, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Green, and good evening, board and Southfield community. We have Mr. Zarek Lake kicking it off with some of our percentage information for you on hybrid enrollment.
Good evening, board, Dr. Green and community. So we would like to just thank families for making your choices. We know during this time it may be difficult, but thank you for making your choices. And so these are our numbers as far as our schools. So at the bottom, you'll see the number of students returning for each school. And at the top right here, you would actually see the number of the percentage of people of the students returning. So for Adler, there will be 129 students who are currently going to be hybrid students right now, and that's 30% of that population. Bernie is at 111, that's 26%. Levy, there are 88 students at 24%. MacArthur total is 151 at 33%. McIntyre, 124 students at 36%. Regionals, SRAC is at 18 students at 12%. Southfield High, 149 students at 12%. Stevenson, 136 students at 36%. Thompson, 99 students at 24%. University, 118 students at 20%. And last but definitely not least, Vandenberg, 116 students at 40%. And so as you can see, these are the numbers of our students returning. And as you know, April 19th is the scheduled return for our 6 through 12 students in Southfield Public Schools. Nancy.
So before you come on board, we should probably see if any of the trustees have any questions. Mr. Lake, you've done an amazing job with keeping up with all of these numbers and helping our families to select their options. I know that most recently the governor made some recommendations of which Southfield Public Schools did not engage based on our current district numbers. Can you please share the process with families in the event that they are not comfortable and or having their own challenges within their family relative to their health if they wish to pivot from the hybrid selection to that of virtual or vice versa?
And the process is really simple, and a lot of parents have been following that process. You would need to contact your principal of your school, and they will be able to walk you through the process of making that switch. What we've done for the district already with partnering with Oakland Schools, we've actually set the attendance correct in MyStar to match what our numbers are, whether they're hybrid or face-to-face. That's matching in MyStar. So that's a piece that we're continually working on, and there's a process that will be forthcoming to the schools, letting principals know how to effectively make that choice in the event someone pivots back and forth from hybrid to face-to-face or from face-to-face to hybrid. So that process is simply contacting your child's school to let them know, and then that principal or that designated person will walk you through that process of how to pivot back.
Thank you, Mr. Lake. Also, it's important to note that KLC has 28 students that have returned to the hybrid model as well.
I didn't want to put wrong data up because the pivot table shows only, I believe, 10 students, and I knew that was wrong, or 3 students. So I left KLC off, not for lack of love, but for lack of accurate data.
Teamwork. Dr. Starks just sent me a text message. 28 students.
Thank you.
So thank you for that.
I have a
Okay.
question. Through the chair.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. I certainly appreciate, first of all, thank you, team, for the wonderful work you continue to do with our Return to Learn plan. And I certainly appreciate and value the flexibility being allowed to our families. My question comes from a place of concern, probably for the structure of the student, but also the teacher. How are we going to account for students keeping on track if they are pivoting back and forth? What are the measures to say, you can't pivot, 2 and 3 times in 1 week? Are we kind of holding families and working with families to make a choice? Not that they have to be stuck in that choice, but committed for a period of time before switching back. What type of measures? I could just imagine the inconsistencies for the student and also for the teacher if you have that constant going back and forth. How is that being addressed?
So, Trustee Smith-Thomas, before the team speaks to that, definitely excellent point. I'm glad you lifted that. We are viewing each of these on a case-by-case basis. The students that are in the virtual environment are receiving the same instruction as those students that are in the hybrid instruction. So that's one way in which we're ensuring that all students are receiving the same lessons and we're hitting the same academic standards. However, as it pertains to students in the hybrid model, if families intentionally send children to school and they are ill, they are demonstrating multiple symptoms that have been identified by the CDC, it is our commitment to keep the other children safe and to keep our staff safe. Therefore, we may ask those families to go to the virtual environment, having no option to return to hybrid. If it is intentional that they're sending children to school with visible symptoms of illness. If a child comes to school and they get ill during the school day at no fault of their own, no fault of their families, then we will give them grace. It is those families that are intentionally sending children to school sick. If a child continues to have close contact to multiple individuals, that makes it a little more difficult for the student because they are not actually positive with the virus, but they are actually a close contact. And oftentimes they are required to quarantine by the health department. So we don't want to punish the child for exposure that an adult brought to them. So it's really a delicate balance when it comes to providing for our students and also recognizing that some things are beyond their control. Nancy?
And if I may add, Dr. Green,
yes.
Yeah, if I could add, to pivot from in-person to virtual, there's no turnover time, but when somebody wants to pivot back from virtual to in-person, there is a 3 to 5 day waiting period for us to go through certain protocols. So it would be difficult for someone to pivot back and forth and back and forth. They would definitely be on a waiting scale. So it would be, it wouldn't be a day-to-day basis. Could they do it every 3 to 5 days? Unless Dr. Green is saying that there is case-by-case basis, but there's definitely protocols in place that prohibit the ability for someone to pivot back and forth daily.
And one of the things when I talk to Oakland schools that they suggest is that we say like it'll be on a Monday, like so say if a student says that on Monday of a week that they want to pivot, they potentially, we would get the information for all the kids that 1 week, and potentially they could come back on that following Monday, just so that it's not, we're not having everybody on different days and coming in at different times, but it'll be one day where we'll be able to get that information into MyStar and then actually put them on that particular day. And so that was one thing that they suggested.
There's a lot of work behind the scenes, as you can tell, with getting children in the correct placement in MyStar. It's a lot easier to move them to the virtual environment than to move them back to the hybrid environment. So thank you to the entire team for continuing to keep your eye on all of our children.
I have a question if I may, through the chair.
Absolutely.
With giving parents the flexibility of coming from hybrid to a virtual model and so forth, and I understand that we stated it'll take 3 to 5 days in order to ramp up for a child to return. What if we are allowing children to return and the classroom is full? Do we have protocols in place to be able to mitigate that?
To your point, that is one of the reasons that we are requesting the 3 to 5 days. We need to ensure that we are able to bring the student back with adequate social distancing. We are working with the Intense Student Support Network team to see if the child has any additional needs that are required for them to receive learning on site. We are also working with the building level principal and the teacher to ensure that the child is going to come back in a safe environment. So those are, and transportation. We have to ensure that if the child is in need of transportation via the school bus, that we have space on that particular route as well. So there are a lot of different variables that go into account when bringing a student back to hybrid. Now, if we found out that a student or a classroom was over capacity, we would share with that family the option of either going into another classroom at the same grade level and or asking if they would want to stay in the virtual environment, because our first and foremost commitment is to ensure everyone's safety.
Are there any more questions regarding the hybrid and in-person?
Question through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't know if it's more of a question or a statement. In lieu of the scenario where we've talked about parents potentially sending their student to school, knowing that they are experiencing some of the symptoms, do we have any opportunity to offer, I almost want to kind of call it an attestation survey where perhaps through MyStar, where they are testing, maybe 2-3 questions where they're answering, no, my student doesn't have any of these symptoms today. And they're using that attestation to kind of validate that there aren't any experiencing any symptoms before they're sending their student to school, either on a daily or perhaps a weekly basis. I've seen some other organizations do that. And so I just bring the question here for consideration.
Trustee Rice, you are right on point with where we are as a district. We did start that process on today, particularly with our standardized assessments that we had in the district today. And I know Summer will speak to the assessments a little bit more, but you're accurate. We ask that they fill out the daily surveys. It is uploaded into the Frontline system, of which the board invested in several months ago. We were using it with our staff members. Now we are using it with our staff and students to attest that their child is not experiencing any symptoms. Now, I will say that today being the first day, we did have a few glitches, and we are working to resolve those issues as quickly as possible. However, it will be on record that the parent is stating that the child does not have any symptoms. Yes.
Awesome. I think that'll be a deterrent for folks as well. So glad to hear that.
Question. That's a great question, Trustee Rice. Are we able to get that survey on the app?
We will check into that, Trustee Smith-Thomas. I'm not quite sure, but we will look into that, and I will get back with all of you as soon as I have the answer from Frontline.
Anything else? So before we get into our summer offerings, which is the next phase of our Return to Learn, I just wanted to highlight our Teaching and Learning Showcase coming up on April 28th. So far, we have about 30 presenters from the district, teachers who would like to showcase some of their instructional strategies and practices that deserves to be in the limelight. We also have a few guests coming in from the outside to make some connections, such as the Southfield Public Library. But I wanted to invite the board to mark their calendars if you wish to come and see any of our own teachers presenting. It'll be our own little mini virtual conference. And I can share through Laura the information in the rooms if you wish to come to any of those. So I just wanted to highlight that before we move on to the summer school.
And before you move to summer school, Nancy, I know that is one of my favorite parts of the presentation this evening. I did receive a response back already that unfortunately we are not able to integrate Frontline into our district app because they are a separate entity and they actually have their own app. So it will be two separate apps if indeed we wanted to use Frontline as an application as well.
Thank you, Dr. Green. Well, the entire instructional infrastructure is excited to bring to you this catalog of summer learning. It was our passion and thrill to put together a robust array of opportunities, in person, at home, virtual, family field trips, something for everyone. Our hope is to inspire families to continue learning through the summer. And everything we've done in the past is sort of being flipped and twisted and with the intent of having better results always. Our traditional summer school programs have not yielded the results that we would like. And we would like to change what we're doing, because if you want different results, you have to do something different. So you'll be hearing from a few of our members, but know that this is a group process that went into this, and there will be more forthcoming. This is the most current draft of the summer learning catalog, and this will be going live to the community within about a week. We wanted to showcase it here, but again, there'll be more being added to it, and it'll be live linked on our website. You will be seeing some SPS community-based options, so events that we're doing through our school system that we're offering to everyone, obviously socially distanced and mostly outdoors. We have some school-based options, virtual as well as in person, and then we have an array of family field trips, and then there's a few other community offerings. So you will just see this grow and grow over the days. So we have a table of contents which will be updated once we have more of a solid version of that. But here's just an article about the importance of continuing learning through vacation. It's a lot of the things we know and what we need to do. And it's about staying engaged with your children over the summer. So just an article we borrowed from Scholastic. For our community engagement events, we want to keep our community connected. This is a schedule of events that will be growing, and you will see them on these calendars throughout here. And everything in this catalog will be live linked. So you will be able to click right here and get to the information regarding the virtual community readers. And then you'll see on the next page, July and August. There's all sorts of things to click on. Some of the things that have already entered the catalog, including our virtual community readers, are our career READY programs being offered on Tuesdays throughout the summer through our CTE programming, thanks to Jacinta and Mary Davis. And then Sally Nalu has connected us with someone doing creative movement. It'll be outdoors. We've specifically planned it at JWE. She had the idea so that over the summer, when everyone's at JWE, they can come out and join. And it's actually intended to help people move through trauma, but trauma can be defined as however you choose to define it. Those are our community offerings, and that will continue to grow. You'll see that crowded. Rodell, would you like to explain the summer food distribution schedule? I'll give him a moment to see if he can connect. So Rodell let us know that SPS will continue to offer food distribution throughout the summer for all enrolled students, whether they're in summer school or not. They will be moving the location to be curbside at Southfield A&T, and it will be on Mondays so as to not interfere with summer school programming. You will receive 7 days worth of breakfast and lunch. If a student is enrolled for the in-person SPS summer camps that we will be having, Design Your Future camps, they will receive their meals on site Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then Thursday at the end of the day, they will take their meals home for the remainder of the week. So we will continue to feed our community.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, there you are, Rodell.
Oh, sorry. I don't know what was happening with my mic there. I apologize, but yeah, I'm here. We kind of continued to work on, talk to Dr. Green about continuing to provide meals for the community, setting up literally an operation base out of the high school for 4 days. And with the summer program that's in place, we're going to provide provide breakfast for students as they walk through the door, provide a lunch and a dinner and a snack, provide a lunch for them to take home. And then on Thursdays, they'll be receiving the balance for the rest of the 7 days that they will not be in school for, including the weekend. And then for the online learners, they will continue to receive meals 7 days for breakfast and lunch. For the summer food service program, there isn't a snack and a dinner. But if the CACFP program gets extended over the summer, we are going to take advantage of that program as well. We have been on high alert, making sure that we are continuing to take advantage of every particular grant or any changes with the MDE or anything that's taking place. And that way we can quickly pivot to make sure that we are taking care of the community and we're taking care of our students. So that's the plan for the summer thus far. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you,
Rodell,
Rodell.
real quick, when does our current schedule end and our new summer food schedule begin?
So Dr. Green, that's a great question. I am planning not to end. So let's put it that way. So I'm just going to try to literally move through. When the summer program begins I believe it's in June. I don't have the exact date in front of me. I'm sorry, July 8th. Our current summer program, the SFSP program that we're in now, ends in June 30th, but we have an application that starts July 1st. So we're going to continue to move on to next year, or I should say through the summer.
That's music to my ears. Want to ensure that no. Excellent.
We're not missing a day. I'm not letting. We're going to feed every day making sure students are getting food on a daily basis. Like the only thing that's going to end on June 30th is the snack and dinner, but I'm trying to push and hope that they would continue to extend snack and dinner throughout the whole entire summer as well.
Okay.
Thank you. Sally Nailu just let me know that her name is spelled wrong in here. I'm not sure how I did that, but Salu Nailu. This is the flyer that goes with her mindful movement seminars that she has brought to us in conjunction with Lana Grasser, a PhD candidate. So those are the first of our summer community offerings, to be filled with many more. I know that there are many, many offerings to come, so that will fill up. And then we have our school-based programs. We want our families to feel comfortable, and you'll be hearing from Yvonne in just a moment. We want our families to feel comfortable knowing that they can approach the more formal aspects of their child's education over the summer in whatever way they feel most comfortable, whether that be in the virtual environment or the face-to-face environment. And so we've created some offerings that will reach K-12, and we've broadened our scope to include K-12 rather than just K-5 or K-8. In addition to those of the credit recovery programs, which you'll hear about. So first, you're going to hear from Yvonne on some of our virtual programming.
All righty, good evening. Good evening, board. Good evening, superintendent, our lovely team, and our wonderful families. I'm just going to go over programs that we are offering. First is iReady, and you may be familiar with iReady as a progress monitoring assessment, which assesses students' strengths and deficits throughout the school year. Students take the assessment 3 times a year. However, it's also an adaptive learning program. So students use the program to build identified deficit areas through individual learning paths throughout the school year. For the summer program, however, Jessica Hines and I, the English, I serve as the math curriculum coordinator. I'm not sure if I said that, but Jessica Hines, the English language arts coordinator, will also develop a learning path based on identified common power standards, or we'll say our foundational skills that students struggle with based on our iReady assessments, but should master to ensure success as they progress to the next level. So we'll identify these learning paths. This is for kindergarten students through 8th grade. It is aligned to their courses and their grade level. There will be 4 teachers who will serve as virtual instructors to monitor the student progress and assist students when needed. There are 2 elementary teachers, 1 middle school math, and 1 middle school English language arts teacher. All current K through 8 students qualify for this program and will have full access for this program. Would you like to proceed to the next? Yes. So this is Edmentum. Edmentum program offers an exact path program we are familiar with here at Southfield Public Schools. This is going to be what we use for our high school students. You know, a lot of times our high school students are overlooked and there's only that credit recovery program, but this is a designated skill building program for our high school students. So this will be 9th grade through 12th grade, and it's our current students. So this is an optional skills recovery program for those who are, and I hate to say behind, but those who have not quite mastered the previous skills. I don't like that word behind, because who's to say that they are behind, but maybe they need to build some skills that they maybe have not mastered in their previous school year. So this is for those students. It's also for students who would like to build and strengthen their skills, and for those who would like to challenge or advance their skills. So you have all levels this program is available for. It is similar to the iReady. It provides a diagnostic assessment. So students will come in and they will take a diagnostic, and from there, the students will have a learning path that's designated to their strengths and weaknesses. So it's not just for skill recovery. It can be used for skill advancement depending on where you place on that assessment. So students do not enroll for this program for credit, but it is something that is free and available to all our high school students. So like I said, the students will take a diagnostic assessment in the beginning. Students will identify the strengths and weaknesses, and the program will determine an individualized learning path for those students. Students do, however, need to register for this program because licenses are purchased per program. So this is something that is, again, free to all of our high school students. However, we do need students to register and enroll in this program in order to complete that path. And next, it's already up. So BridgeBooks. BridgeBooks, some of you may be familiar with our BridgeBooks. We were diligently passing those out last year when we didn't know what was going on with the pandemic. We wanted to make sure our students had learning throughout the summer. So this year, BridgeBooks will return. They are a great resource to fill gaps for students moving from one grade level to the next. It does go from kindergarten to 8th grade. It's an awesome resource for those students who need a digital break, a digital learning break. They may not have access to ongoing digital services, or those who just need to practice their written skills. The learning books they're covered from reading, math, science, social studies, and they also have a little fitness exercises here and there, and some stickers and flashcards for motivation. So it's a great tool for parents to use with their students. And the principals will receive a limited number of books to distribute to the identified students by request or as need. So schools will create an equitable system for distribution. So look for that. If you are one of those people who really enjoyed the BridgeBooks last year and your students have progressed with that, go to the BridgeBooks, but there's also all those other learning paths that are virtual that students can enroll in.
Thank you, Yvonne.
Miss
Yeah.
Yvonne, before you go on, I have, my phone is blowing up. People are so excited about these offerings. They want to
Okay.
know when is registration and if they can get a bridge book in addition to registering for some of the other programs, because there's so many things. I don't know if I could only do one. Can you speak to
I knew
that?
that would be a question. I knew that would be a question because those bridge books were a hit last year, because sometimes the students need a break from the virtual setting. So far, well, we have some books. We are in the process of ordering some additional ones, so that's going to be an as need, and I think that's going to be a little bit above my level here to decide on how many we can get. So we'll
I'm
put that out there, that there is a need and there's a desire from our families to continue with the bridge books. So hopefully they can have both.
Absolutely, and absolutely any family can do any or all of these opportunities, the ones that are open and available to all. There are a few coming up that are invitation only, but the ones that Yvonne has shared so far are open to and available to all. Again, the registration will open when this catalog is shared with the community sometime next week, and you can see the words "click here to register." You will see something like that, and here on iReady, you can see this one is already a live link. So all of these links will be live. So when you want to register, you go to the page in the catalog that you're interested in and you click on the links to register there, and it'll take you through the steps. Something like iReady doesn't say anything about registering because you don't need to register. But if registration is required, it will be right here in the catalog. So it should be very user friendly. And we will make sure we have enough bridge books for everybody who is interested, because some people enjoy the paper pencil. Thank you, Yvonne. Great work.
Thank you.
We also are offering credit recovery for grades 9-12. Yvonne, are you doing this one? Or is this back to me? I think it's back to me. So if your student needs makeup credit for any course that they may not have passed or that they have failed in the high school setting, they are able to take that course through our credit recovery program. It will be taught online via a Michigan certified teacher. It is $200 per virtual course, but they can make up the credit for having missed. So we want our students to keep pace and not put things off till their junior and senior year if necessary. If they're behind, if they've struggled, this is their opportunity to catch up over the summer. And again, registration will be right here. Pardon my mistake. I'm moving too fast. So if you have questions, this is where you call. When it's time to click, you will click here. And this will be live sometime next week. We also have Dr. Freeman here to talk about Camp Invention or Recharge, and she's going to talk a little bit about her ESY opportunities.
Good evening, family, to the board, Superintendent Green, and our Southfield Public School community. We are excited about extended school year for students with disabilities. Parents of those students that qualify will be contacted by their IEP team to review data as well as to go over the goals for the summer. We are looking to get started early this year. In addition to extended school year, we are delighted that we will be bringing Camp Invention for students in grades K through 5. This is a STEM-focused camp, and we were able to secure $14,000 from General Motors to bring this program to our community. We have secured 63 spots for students to engage in hands-on activities such as road rally, creating cars, use of land and water, and understanding the aerodynamics. They'll also take part in a drop the mic activity where they will literally take apart a microphone and keep. All of the materials will be donated, and the students will get to take part in these activities and keep these activities for themselves at home. So there's a link in the catalog that you can actually apply. We are asking for students to apply because we only have 63 spots available. And so we're looking for a wonderful time in this STEM-rich summer activity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Freeman. So again, you can see click here to apply. That will be a live link that will be up when this goes live. Okay, Jessica Hines, our ELA coordinator, has worked in conjunction with Southfield Public Library on several things, and she is here to present to you.
Good evening, Southfield Board, Dr. Green, and Southfield community. It is so important that our students are reading at least 20 minutes a day, and during the summer is even more important. These tips to help make summer reading more enjoyable and more fun are given. They're adapted from Imagination Soup. Like Nancy said, in partnership with Southfield Public Libraries, we have created a book list this summer. It's so important for our students to see the world not only through a window image of the world, but also through a mirror image of themselves and through reading. So I have created a book list that was crafted through this notion. Nancy, can you?
Yes,
Sorry.
thank you. Sorry, I did exactly what you told me not to do.
I know. So kindergarten through 12th grade, they have not only window images, but also mirror images, suggestions of book titles through K through 12th grade. These book titles are also going to be purchased by the Southfield Public Library, so all our students have free access to them. They will also have links of where these books can also be purchased.
Thank you, Jessica.
Sorry.
I thought you were finished, so I was going to ask you to elaborate on something, but go ahead.
No, so Southfield Public Library also has just told me that all Southfield Public School students will have access to receive a library card from them. And they also will be doing a lot of different programs throughout the summer with the students, which I'll be talking about later.
Thank you. And Jessica, can you explain to the board and our community, I know it's your passion, what did you mean by so students could be looking into a mirror rather than through a window?
Sure. So many times with me having an English background, it's something called a canon that all English scholars say that, are the books to read. And most of the times, the people that look like me or our students or our community aren't always pictured in the canon of literature. So it's a push now to be more diverse, more inclusive, more equitable through our reading. Studies have shown that when students see themselves through their reading, they obtain the knowledge a little bit better. So it's so important for us to have those more inclusive texts in our classrooms. So one thing that did happen this year that I'm so proud of with the LEO project, which is through Oakland Schools, Southfield Public Schools was granted $22,000. So we are starting to integrate those inclusive texts into our classroom libraries, K through 3rd grade.
Thank you, Jessica. You did a fantastic job choosing books as well as connecting to some Southfield authors, as well as getting those books in the hands of our teachers. I know some of the feedback from our guided reading was that it was not inclusive, and it's really hard to find a guided reading text that is culturally relevant because it's really the science part of reading. So you've given a lot of people the opportunity to continue to make that a priority in their classroom by sharing those books with them, the ones that you purchased through the LEO Fund. So thank you for that. And I also would like you to elaborate a little bit about what you say about the quality of the text, as well as what the content is in regarding how the
negative. So most of the times when we say inclusive text, there's a lot of negative aspects of images that come along with cultural identity. So through these texts, I made sure that, sometimes negative events happen in our lives, but these texts aren't dwelling on negativity. It promotes the richness of all cultures, all people who are included. It's not just African American, it's a rich collection of texts that celebrates our differences and our similarities. So I'm really excited about it. I was telling Nancy earlier this week how excited about it I am that we have this opportunity to get these books in our children's hands, and I will be reading them as well. Well, I've already read most of them, so.
So rest assured, Jessica is a great connector for us to make sure that our libraries are rich, our public libraries and our own classroom libraries are rich with a variety of texts for our students that can have a positive influence on their lives. So thank you, Jessica.
No problem.
This next section is our in-person experience, and we are so excited to present this to you. Closely working with Jacinda Samara, our new CTE director, we have created an in-person experience for our students that is hopefully second to none, and will inspire and engage the unengaged and refresh both staff and students who are involved with it. It is heavily supported by our partnerships, which I will explain throughout this. We could not have done this without the help of Oakland Schools, without DAPSEP, Junior Achievement. They have all been thought partners, but not just thought partners, contributors, actively contributing materials, guest speakers, and all different kinds of experiences. We want the children in these to go home every day excited about what they learned and every day excited to return. So these are the K-5 experience is invitation only based upon test scores in the district, and invitations will go out. So if your student is invited, you will have that opportunity. In grades 6 through 8, which is a different camp, same concept. 6 through 8 will also be identified, but 9 through 12 will be able to register themselves based upon interest, because this is not a credit granting experience. So we're going to talk to you about design your future and unlock your passion. And it's a mix of mindfulness and STEM activities. So we're offering our students an in-person 4-week experience to renew and refresh their minds while learning critical skills to unlock their future paths. All subjects will be infused, and it is invitation only based upon need and space, except for at the high school level. And I'm going to pause there, and the basis of the camp is designed around something called the hot sectors. And I'm going to let Jacinda explain that to you, because she is so much better at explaining that than me.
Good morning or good evening, board, Dr. Green and Southfield community. I'm really excited to be here with Nancy, and I thank her for inviting me to be a thought partner in this. So when we think of the hot sectors, we'll start with the word sector. That's basically a part of our economy. So if you think of your budget and where you spend your money, you're spending money into each of those sectors. Things that you look at typically in your home budget would be like housing, transportation, entertainment, medical care. So all of those things that you spend your money on are sectors in the world that we live in. For hot sectors, those are the areas that are really booming in our area. Those are high skill, high wage areas that have high amounts of projected job growth. So basically, they're the people or the sectors, the parts of the economy that are looking for our kids to become their future talent. So basically, those are the industries and opportunities that we want to engage our kids in dreaming about, because those are going to be the ones that give them the bright outlook for the future.
Thank you, Jacinda. And can you express to them what are the hot sectors that we will be focusing on at our camps?
Absolutely. So in Oakland County, working with Michigan Works, Oakland Schools, and Oakland, and actually our county government, there are 5 areas that have really been identified as key in our area. And I don't think they will surprise anybody, but obviously health medicine is one of those areas, information technology, advanced and smart manufacturing, construction, and I'm missing one. Oh, obviously transportation and mobility.
Thank you, Jacinda. I didn't want to have to text you on the side and ask you if I again.
I'm coaching you as fast as I can.
You're doing great. So for Camp Design Your Future and Unlock Your Passion, the K-5 camp is also a STEM camp as well as a mindfulness program. It will take place for 4 weeks, June 22nd to July 15th. It's 3 days per week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 8:15 to 11:45, which is a 3.5-hour block each day. Transportation and breakfast will be provided, and as Rodell shared, there will be a bag lunch to go home. The slots are identified through performance on our district-wide assessments, and participants will be immersed in activities designed to stimulate the mind and body and centered around career experiences, allowing students to imagine their own future path. We want to engage the disengaged through career education. So again, we'd like to thank DAPCEP, the Detroit Area Pre-College Engineering Program, who have identified us as a grant recipient, and thank you to Dr. Green, who sits on that board, who I'm sure had no small part in ensuring that Southfield was identified for that, as well as our corporate sponsors. Denso, I believe, will be partnering with us on this, and our nonprofit partners such as Junior Achievement. But for the K-5, they will be focusing on the career skills within the sectors that Jacinda just shared with us. And those are intentionally chosen because it's forecasted that those will be the high demand careers when they are to graduate. Hands-on exploration will be a part of every day for our children. Again, partnering with Career Tech, the STEM playground will be available to K2 and then 3-5. There will be developmentally appropriate manipulatives for them to build, Legos, connect, snap circuits, all kinds of things. Some things being purchased, some things being borrowed, some things being loaned to us. DAPCEP has a giant version of Connects and Legos where the younger students can use their tiny little hands to build bigger things, use of pulleys and different items to construct swing sets and whatever their imaginations can create. So children will have time every day to play, but that play is around science and engineering and technology and math, which is what STEM stands for. And that is a critical component to their learning. We spent so much time on computers that now more than ever, this is essential for them. We will have guest field experts from the healthcare systems, from IT, from transportation, from the skilled trades, coming out and sharing with our students, bringing their firsthand knowledge and demonstrations to the children as they explore all the different facets of career opportunities and their own interests. The K-5 students will also be participating in an intense guided reading program. They will be following the Fontes Pinnell Level Literacy Intervention, we call it that LLI, and the teachers will be highly trained in that. And so students will have the opportunity to do that daily for 30 to 45 minutes. And we will also be engaging the mind and body as well as through yoga, through different mindful movement exercises. We will be having yoga and drum fit lessons, different things to get the children moving and being connected with their bodies and minds together. Students will also have a daily journal that will help them to cultivate a sense of gratitude for life's many blessings, because one of the best ways to improve one's spirit is to show gratitude for things and have a sense of gratitude. It brings us all joy. So it's a very positive experience. We want our teachers and students to leave this camp inspired every day, and especially at the end. We want this to be a renewing and refreshing experience. The high school and middle school or secondary version of Design Your Future 612 STEM Camp, we should call it Mindful STEM Camp actually, is July 20th through August 12th. It's a 4-week program as well. It's 3 days a week. It mirrors the other one, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8:15 to 11:45. Transportation and breakfast provided with a bag lunch to go. Same things, they'll be having hands-on exploration and research, career skills, guests, and the same healthy body, healthy mind, mindful movement experiences. The difference being is that after the first week where they can explore the different sectors and areas of interest, they will then choose one of the sectors to delve into more deeply and have the next 3 weeks to really expand their knowledge on and do research within and get experiences around that particular sector. So if a student in 612 has an interest in the healthcare system, that is the sector that they would then choose and spend the next 3 weeks engaging in. Again, we want to inspire our students. We want them to walk away more ready for their future than ever. There are also opportunities for, oh, by the way, our camps are infusing the ELL students as well as the our special education or ISSN students who it will all be infused together in one cohesive experience, because what is good for one is good for many. Best practice is best practice. So this is an inclusive camp for those different subgroups as well. Local family field trips. We want families to feel empowered on their own to go off and explore different spaces and places together and have fun for all ages. So we have some ideas right here. Experience Detroit, and all these are live links as well to the different websites, so you can get more information on them. But consider the Detroit Zoo, the DIA, the Charles H. Wright Museum just reopened, Michigan Science Center, the Detroit Historic Museum, and the DSO. All experiences. We are not sponsoring these experiences. We are simply suggesting them. You might see some overlap in our community offerings. We're hoping to have something similar to the day at the DA or the day at the zoo, where we can all meet on the same day. We're working with them through our community partnerships with the instructional infrastructure piece. Also, don't discount discovering your state parks and forests. There are several websites here as well. Consider taking a dark sky tour, getting away from the city. There's special places in Michigan that are highlighted to having the dark skies, where your children can really experience what the night sky actually looks like in the realistic sense, not from where we have light pollution within our own cities. So it's quite an experience. And then there's other different youth programming that you can check out here. Many things are continuing despite COVID. Some things are shutting down due to COVID, but you can go right into the websites and check it out for yourself. There are some other learning options, and I'm going to take it back to Jessica to explain what the Southfield Public Library's reading initiative is for this summer, and we're very excited to be repartnered with them. They actually, when I reached out to them regarding this, they were overjoyed. They said, oh, we have been dying to have a partnership with Southfield again for years, and they are very excited, and we met again today. And they're finding all types of creative ways to support our teachers, which we will also be sharing at that August PD. Jessica?
Thank you, Nancy. So like Nancy said, the ELA department is also excited about this renewed partnership with the Southfield Library as well. Just to reiterate that all Southfield students, no matter residency, can get an opportunity to receive a library card from the Southfield Library. Even though the Southfield Library is physically closed right now, community members can call or email and they can reserve up to 10 books, hopefully 10 books on our summer reading list. The Southfield Library is also offering interactive activities involved around literacy and reading, and like this program called Tales and Tales. So students and kids and teens will have the opportunity to either download the ReadSquare app and log their minutes in reading, and also do other activities, interactive activities with the reading that is endorsed by the Southfield Library, or they can also pick up paper logs. But like Nancy and I already said, we are so happy and just grateful for the new partnership, the renewed partnership with the Southfield Library.
And you can see here that these links are already live. And so please know that when you go through these, all of your answers are at your fingertips. And then there'll be a final page to the catalog as well, which addresses, if you have any questions, who to contact. But everything should be linked at your fingertips here. There's a few other offerings through Girls in Engineering. There's an academy, the Girls in Engineering Academy. They have some course offerings, and you can peruse this, and we will continue to add as different reputable organizations share with us. They will be added to the back of this catalog as well. For now, we have this Girls in Engineering Academy along with the library, and then this NAF Summer Institute with different courses available for students. So please stay tuned for more offerings. Keep a lookout for this to be shared with you. We are excited to share with you this robust opportunity, and thank you for listening through it all. We really wanted to brag about our summer opportunities this year.
So Nancy, before we take questions from any trustees, I just want to thank you all. I know that this was one of our goals for this year. This is why we are here, to educate our students and to provide numerous opportunities for our families using different modalities and to really hone in on where our children will excel. So thank you. If we were in person, I would give the entire team a standing ovation, but given that we are virtual, I will not stand up because then you won't be able to see me on the screen. So thank you for leading the work, and thank you to all who have engaged. I know that was a lot. People's heads are probably spinning. You will have an opportunity to go through this with a fine-tooth comb as soon as it is released next week. Board President, if you would like to entertain any questions before we move to the next phase.
Questions, trustee?
I do, through the chair, if I may ask a
Sure.
question, and I have a comment. First of all, to the team who has put this information and packet and programs together, I salute you. I think it's a wonderful effort that you all have done. I really, really want to impress upon our parents to make sure that we take advantage of these opportunities, because if we don't, then they won't be there for us next time. This is another way that we stand out as Southfield Strong, so please take advantage of them. One thing I did not hear that I think would be insightful for our public as well as for myself, the cost of some of these programs.
Oh, that's a great question. So none of these have a cost to our general public. Yeah, so they're all, and that's why the in-person ones are invitation only, so there is no cost. The only one that does have a cost is the credit recovery program for students who need to retake a failed course, and that is $200. But beyond that, everything we're offering thus far has been at no charge. If some of our community events have a charge, that would be indicated on the page. But at this point, we have so many partnerships that are ready and willing to come in and share with us that we're just so excited.
Thank you so very much.
Through the chair.
Yes, ma'am. Please proceed.
All right, thank you. Yes, this is amazing. I am so excited. I have like two pages of notes here. So I'm gonna go through some of the questions I have, and feel free to just kind of jump in and if you have a quick response for me. With the iReady question, I'm going to direct that directly to Dr. Green per protocol. But the other ones, if the team wants to jump in. The virtual community readers, is that a volunteer opportunity? And if so, how do you sign up?
Absolutely.
Yes.
That is Jessica. Oh, sorry, Dr. Green.
That's okay, Nancy. We've been working so closely on all of this. You could answer for me. It is a volunteer opportunity, and Jessica will be sending out a link for people to sign up and volunteer for that. Or you can reach out directly to her. As you know, our emails are first name dot last name at southfieldk12.org. So jessica.hines@southfieldk12.org.
Okay, thank you. Look forward to receiving an email from me, because I miss celebrity readers, and so I'm looking forward to participating in this way. Also, so to Dr. Green, iReady, how are we doing district-wide with having the teachers trained? And have we had an opportunity, or do we have an opportunity to have the actual facilitators from iReady, from the iReady organization, to come in to facilitate and to guide not only the teachers, but then to also engage a few family nights so that families are equipped with reading the data reports, and we can work together, teacher and parents, to continue to make data-driven decisions about the interventions so that we can see the best student growth.
Excellent question. And I will say that during our last all district professional development, we did have some of the trainers from iReady come into the district or virtually come into the district and work with our students. They were so amazed, or work with our staff. They were so amazed with the engagement of our staff that they are wanting to come back. It was almost as if you saw the light bulb go off across the entire district and everything was illuminated. So people are now understanding all of the tools that are available at their fingertips. And we are going to schedule some additional days for them to work with our staff, because I've heard from a lot of staff, and I've also heard from numerous administrators that they are wanting more PD. So we are going to continue down that path.
And will that then extend to families as well, for families to be trained on those data reports?
I don't know if that's in our current contract, but I will follow up. If it's not, we will definitely build that in, as we now have the ESSER dollars coming to the district. This will be a perfect opportunity for us to build in any additional costs to provide that training for our families.
Dr. Green, can I add to that?
Always, Summer.
So our staff have been trained all year long on iReady from Curriculum Associates, and they are going to be trained in year 2 all year long next year as well. I have been working with families in various different schools on training parents on how to read the data reports, and I will continue to do that as well.
All right, thank you. And then certainly not to add any additional tasks, but I think as we're all sitting here and kind of felt a little overwhelmed just by all of the offerings, I could just imagine the parent at home who's not an educator wanting to engage their children but not overwhelm them. Have we developed, or is there thought to develop a recommended template or schedule that families can adjust and really personalize for themselves, but just a starting point so that they are not overwhelming their students and their children with too much all at once, but then still balancing some time for them to enjoy the summer, enjoy outdoors, enjoy screen, but then also have the paper and pencil. Do we have anything like that in play? And if not, is that a request that I would, through the chair to the superintendent, would like to recommend?
So as the team mentioned earlier, we do have a number of programs that are invitation only. Then we have numerous programs that are family based at the back of the catalog. And we will, to your point about our families, we know that we need to host several power hours so that families are able to see it in real time to ask all of those questions. In an ideal world, every child should have their EDP, which is their educational development plan, completed. And if they have the educational development plan completed, then we could help guide families to programs that meet the needs or meet the interests of the individual student. So we're working on several things simultaneously to ensure that the students are in the correct programs, not only for the summer, but as they move forward throughout their educational platform.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because we've been hearing a lot of people, and I don't particularly care for the way that is being framed as students losing learning during this pandemic, because I think that other skills and other things are being learned during this time, such as how to be resilient, so on and so forth. But to that point, I do think that we do have the responsibility to make sure we are capturing what those individual education plans look like per student, special needs or not, so that as we continue to merge into whatever the new normal will look like, families don't feel so overwhelmed. Someone mentioned earlier in the presentation about students being behind. And I agree, that's not, they're not behind. Who's to say they're behind? They're at their pace for, for how things have gone and matriculated through this pandemic. But I do think that if there's some type of way we can guide families in developing those plans, but then also having just a very generic template for parents, from morning from rise to bedtime, this is how to engage your children and your, through the summer. so that there's some type of balance. And then they can, of course, personalize it however their family structure is, but something that they can just kind of see that is developed by the school district. So they're not going in and overwhelming their child with, you know, sit down and do the book. And okay, now it's time to get on iReady. And then now it's time to, you know, and so they kind of have some balance.
That's an excellent point. We'll lean into our healthcare provider partners as well so that they can provide us some recommendations on, from a healthcare perspective, what would be an adequate amount of time. We can provide that from the educational perspective, but also we want our children to be well and healthy over this summer also. So maybe a certain amount of time for physical activity and a certain amount of time for instructional activity. So we'll lean into them and we'll come up with something.
Okay.
Dr. Green, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
That was one of the highlights when we did the last year before the close, when we had the meetings for parents of IRIP students for the Read by Grade 3. They really enjoyed creating their own family plan. So they sat down, they got the information, and then they created a family goal, a family plan for the next several weeks. And that is something we could definitely do when we host a power hour so that families can then create their own plan. I hesitate to create too many templates only because there's so many different families out there. But if we give them an opportunity to work within a template and create what works for them, then they can feel successful in whatever they choose to bite off. So thank you for the idea.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. All right. Well, I'll through the chair, I will yield my questions there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for these?
If I may, through the chair.
Sure.
I just really quickly, to save time, I have questions, but I'll follow up with everyone at a later time. I just wanted to say how impressed I am with this. It is extremely thorough just in sitting here listening to the resources, the partnerships that you all have garnered to do this summer program. We had our lunch and learn that talked about I think it's the MyKIP. If I'm wrong about the acronym, please don't kill me. But it just goes to show how you're implementing these things that are required of you and making them fun and safe and very accessible for the community. So I'm excited to see this roll out. So again, thank you to the staff for taking the time to put this together and present it on this platform tonight.
Board President, if I may, there was a question behind the scenes that came up that I'm sure many people would want to know. What are the options for credit recovery for middle and elementary students? The students don't actually garner credits in the elementary and middle school. It's more of a skills option for the students. So we will have some options for science and social studies. We will have math as well as literacy for students at the elementary and middle school level, but they don't actually earn credit hours toward graduation until that of the high school years, but we will offer those as well. And we will, every program that we will have the different standards, the academic standards aligned to all of the programming for families and for the staff to see. If there are no other questions regarding the summer learning options, I know we have a number of people on the call that are very much interested in the graduation options. And I know that our high school principals and our high school teachers that are presenting tonight had a very long day with the administration of the PSAT and SAT. So I'm going to ask that we move them up so that they can share with you this evening the options if they are still on the call, and then we allow them to go forward with getting some rest in preparation for tomorrow. So I believe we still have Dean Williams on the call. I see we have Michael Griffin, and I am not sure if Darcel Stewart was able to join and be moved up. But at this time, I will turn it over to Dean Williams, who will be able to share her screen and walk through the proposal for University High School Academy.
Good evening, Dr. Green and members of the Board of Education, my Southfield colleagues, and of course, our wonderful learning community. So I'm hoping I can share. I haven't tried it here, so I'm always on Zoom. Let's see.
You can see Dean.
All righty, great. So about a month ago, under the leadership of Dr. Green and Mr. Beebe, we had a joint meeting with invited all of the members of the class of 2021 to join us for a meeting, and we created a survey as a result. And so for university, we had 66 students of the 87 seniors complete the survey, and of the survey participants, 66% or 46 of those seniors shared that they would like to have some form of an outdoor prom or night under the stars celebration. So after collaborating with Mr. Eason from Southfield Regional and then the team from Southfield High School for the Arts and Technology, we are each presenting our program or proposal details this evening. And so we would like to, at university, propose a semi-formal or formal event, given the time before the end of the school year for our seniors. Not everyone might have the opportunity to secure a formal attire for the event. We would like to have it on Monday, June 14th, which is the week of their proposed celebrations, from 7 to 10 p.m. For us, we'd like to host it on the football field, and then the estimated number of guests would be 60 students and 15 staff. And please note that the event would only be open to university seniors. The proposal does not include a request for outside guests. So in terms of the caterer, we would like to offer a small plates options for our students so that they would be able to, they like to eat when they go to these events, but have something that could be consumed safely, that would not be a large sit-down dinner. And so Touch of Class Catering will be able to provide a service station where they would serve our children and take care of all of the disposal of garbage, setup and breakdown. We have a vendor, events by Elise Lamar, who would decorate for us. And then our DJ is actually a university alumni, Josh Jennings, and he would provide the music services for the evening. Then the functional venue rental is the night's tent and party rental. And this would be the tent, lighting, the flooring, tables, chairs, setups, and breakdown. So they would handle everything for us. And then our photographer would be Will Daniels. And then of course, what is an event without swag bags? And so we would also have swag bags for our seniors. We propose that we would use the parking in the rear, located at the rear of the campus between the gymnasium and MacArthur. And our security, of course, would be our university staff and then our school resource officer. We do need access to electricity for our lighting and our DJ. And then based on the 60 seniors attending, the total cost is $11,929, and our seniors have raised, pre-pandemic, they raised $5,077. So the breakdown would be approximately $115 per ticket for our senior class. Safety protocols, of course, we have to make sure that we are adhering to safety recommendations and providing our children with a safe celebratory environment. So of course, our children would have to complete the health questionnaire. We would know who our guests are in advance, and so only those guests would be allowed to enter the campus. They will wear masks for the duration of the event. We are proposing to have tables where there would only be 4 seats per table. Hand sanitizer at every table. We would have our reminders for protocols and distancing posted throughout the venue. I've talked about the catering, and we would have the campus closed and make sure that there's just one entrance near the east side, the east entrance of the campus. And we would have our SRO monitor that area, and then our staff would take care of securing the football field. So Dr. Green, that is the end of the university proposal.
And so that is the proposal for the evening under the stars, or I'm not sure what the official title of that is. Can you speak to the decision based on the survey data relative to the actual promotion or distribution of diplomas?
Yes, so the overarching response was that our children wanted to have some form of celebration, either a very small modified commencement or a diploma pickup that would mirror what occurred last year, where the seniors were able to have their family members in the car. They got out of the car, their names were read, they were able to walk across the stage, be photographed, have the opportunity to also take photos with their family members and receive tokens from their respective schools.
Thank you, Dean Williams. I know that that is on many of our parents' minds this evening. Board President, if there are any questions for Dean Williams specifically as it pertains to the youth.
Well, I just want to first say thank you, Dean Williams and your team. As you know, I have a senior at your school, and I'm sure they all appreciate all the thoughtfulness that you all are putting out to give them a memorable experience. But trustees, I defer to you if you have any questions or additional comment.
Through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Dean Williams, is this going to be similar to a prom? Will the children be dressed up? I think I heard you say the football field. So are they wearing their heels, and are we gonna have flooring? Like, how does that look for
So
the, yeah.
Just imagine an outdoor wedding. So we're talking flooring, the tent, high and low centerpieces. It will be appropriate, and if you know me, well executed, and semi-formal or formal event, depending on the attire that the seniors are able to, purchase or get in time. Oftentimes our young ladies are ordering dresses like in January, February. So it would just depend on their preferences, or depending on where they purchase dresses from, whether or not they would be able to receive them in time. They said something similar to homecoming would make them happy in terms of attire.
Okay.
Board President.
Yes, ma'am. Please
Am I
proceed.
audible? Oh, yeah. Just
Oh,
a
yeah.
statement.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'd like to, okay, great. I'd like to commend the team for really looking at the data and using that information to help make decisions for the students. I think it's a phenomenal idea, and I can't wait to see it. I'm familiar with Dean Williams' well-executed events, so I can't wait to see it. I think it's an excellent idea, and I'm sure the students would be ecstatic about it, and an opportunity for them to have memories as well as get a chance to socialize with their former students and colleagues. So great idea.
Thank you.
Dean Williams, I know that some of our parents behind the scenes were probably choking when they saw some of the costs that it takes to pull off such a large scale event. I am behind the scenes as we speak, trying to come up with some additional dollars to offset that cost in any way, shape, or form that we can via the grant dollars that the district may receive. So just know that I will continue to work to offset that cost for our students to have the most memorable experience possible.
Thank you so much. And you know, because we are a little smaller and we have fewer students, it impacts, you know, the burden as it relates to the cost.
Absolutely. We are mindful of that. We are, as I mentioned during the event with the students, I'm not sure that we mentioned it here with the trustees. The administration is going to cover all of the senior yard signs for every graduating senior in our district to have a yard sign placed in their front yard, customized with their name at no expense to the families. And we will continue to work on partnerships and or grant dollars to offset these as best we can.
Thank you.
Board President, if there are no further questions, we will turn it over to Mrs. Griffin, who is going to present, and Mr. Beebe is going to control the presentation, so he needs sharing rights. Unfortunately, we are not able to move up Mrs. Stewart based on the way she logged in, so we do apologize to her for us not being able to move her up to a panelist, but we are most confident that Mrs. Griffin will do an excellent job representing Southfield High School for the Arts and Technology. B, it's up to you.
All right. I do want to come in. Mrs. Stewart is going to go ahead and present. We're going to turn on her microphone, and then you know, she'll present, and I'll try to work her present. We had a little technical difficulty, but we're going to try to manage the best we can. So, Ms. Stewart, are you on? Can we hear you?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, hello, and thank you, Dr. Green and board members, parents, and staff for the opportunity for us to share the proposal for our senior celebration for the class of 2021. Mrs. Griffin and I have worked tirelessly to bring this information to you, and we know that you have worked just as tirelessly to ensure that we have a environment for the staff and our students. You can start. Just press the arrow. Laura can.
The agenda or just the arrow?
No, just press the arrow. That's it.
Gotcha. Oh.
All right, the senior celebration event that we are proposing is called Evening Under the Stars. The students came up with that name. We are looking at the date of June 14th, Monday evening on our campus, and we are looking to use the field closest to JWE, which is called the softball field. The time frame is 7 to 9:30 p.m. You can hit the next arrow. Our staff will be administrators and the sponsors, myself and Mrs. Felicia Sears Powell, who has worked diligently as well with us. She represents SRAC. You can hit the next arrow. And these are just the names of some of the staff that have volunteered to help that evening. I couldn't fit all their names, but I wanted you all to know that we do have enough staff, volunteers, and a few of the board, class board parents have offered their services. You can go to the next one. As far as funding, our goal was to get the cost for the students as low as possible. We were able to come up with the amount of $50, which we will accept from the parents in a cashier's check only, so that we are not having to handle cash. I looked at having the students drop off the checks, if they're not in school, to drop off the checks alphabetically so that we don't have a barrage of students at one time. And I thought, doing that over the dates of April 26th to April 29th will still give us the opportunity to put deposits down where necessary. We have lost out on some of the vendors, but we have other vendors that have picked up. This is a very, very busy time. But anyway, so cashier's checks, and I'm willing to stay after from 2 to 3:30. I'm sure Mrs. Powell is, and maybe some of the other administrators, that we can make this happen. As far as, go ahead. Are you good? As far as security, the Southfield Police will have officers to cover the event. The students will park in the student lot. Each student in the vehicle would have to show a ticket or pass to even enter the lot. Once they are out of their vehicles, they would enter from the football field to move towards the softball field. The Lasser Fire Station entrance, that would be secured by Southfield Police, and only handicapped or special needs students would use that entrance. And we'd make sure that prior arrangements were made. Students would not be allowed to enter the campus after 8 p.m. As far as the setup, we have tents. Well, at first there were going to be 2 tents, but now 1 tent, which will be delivered as early as a day prior or up to 5 hours prior to the event. The food and beverages will be individually packaged. We plan to have decorations, an arch and gift or goodie bag, and they will be hours before the event. And the gift or goodie bags will be distributed at the entrance. We know that we need access to electrical outlets, and because softball field is not far from some entry doors, we are sure that we can use the building, but we also have a generator included in the cost. And I don't know what kind of electrical outlets are already outside. I'm not sure of that, but I do know that we do have a generator included in the cost. The DJ will set up an hour or 2 prior to the event, and this DJ is a very popular DJ. He graduated from Southfield High. His name is DJ VJ, and a lot of the students will remember him. I always use him. He actually performed at our staff basketball game, which was one of the last big events we had before the pandemic hit. We have photo booths that will be set up an hour to 2 hours prior to the event. And there's this new one, I can't think of what it's called, but the kids love it. They use it, they download it to their social media. I can't think of what it's called, but the young people know what I'm talking about. So that's something that's available to us. Incidentals, okay, custodians. The cost of the custodians are included in the proposal. They will assist with tables and chairs and assist with cleanup. But this particular tent company they will deliver their tables and chairs, and they will pick them up the same evening. So we don't have to worry about securing them. As far as the restrooms, we have restrooms along that side of the building in Lower B House. Those restrooms will be chaperoned. Well, there will be chaperones rotating, sitting by that entrance to ensure that there is no extracurricular activity going on in the building. As far as COVID safety mitigations, the CDC recommends to limit indoor gathering activity. Social distancing outside is the safest form of gathering. Outside events, masks and distancing is more favorable than indoor extended enclosed activity. So we will provide hand sanitation stations, pre-packaged finger foods, chairs, but limited tables. We're looking at maybe just having a lot less tables, or maybe 4 seats to a table of 8. We're just still kind of looking at that. Masks are required, and we will have extra masks on hand. Custodians will check the restrooms, and we will also have certain people wear gloves, and we are looking at purchasing wristbands in place of tickets for the entrance. As far as the general expectations for the students, we expect them, just as in any other prom, they usually have to arrive, I believe it used to be by 8 p.m. So we expect that. We expect for them to show driver's license or Michigan State ID if required. I do have senior teachers that are willing to be at the entrance when the kids enter so that they can recognize, and if there are any issues, only if there is an issue will they require that. The students will not be allowed back in if they leave the grounds. They must wear their masks at all times unless eating, and I'm requesting that they carry small purses, and there will be no book bags allowed. We are asking that we are requiring that they wear flat or soft sole shoes, and disruptive behavior will not be tolerated. As far as vehicles, you know that families sometimes like to rent party buses and limousines. If that is the case, they will be required to stay parked in a designated area. They will not come and go. They must leave, the party bus or limousines will need to leave at least within 20 minutes of the conclusion of the event. We do not want the kids to feel that they can congregate around the party bus or the limousine. Okay, and I think I've covered everything. As far as the cost, the breakdown, I guess you'd like the breakdown of it. So the kit, what we're looking at is for decorations and art, goodie bags / gift bags, about $7,000. For security or Southfield Police, $2,000. Photo booth, $900. Lights and miscellaneous, $1,000. Custodians, $300. A 40 by 80 tent, which includes 150 chairs, 20 60-inch tables, and 10 high top tables, a generator, and an inflatable mega screen. All of those items came to, I don't know if this total is right, but because I looked at the per person cost. So with all of those items, the final cost per person ends up being $49.80. And the companies that we're looking to use are Meal Prep Detroit, Capri Balloons, Prim Ears, Camera Shots Photo Booth, and Ready Made Tailgate. And so if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Stewart. Before you entertain questions from the trustees, I did want to mention to the trustees that, as you know, we are trying diligently to be good neighbors. Therefore, I have asked the team to look into any zoning ordinances relative to sound or music or time that the sound must be turned off. We don't want to disrupt our neighbors anymore than we have here recently with some unforeseen things that have occurred. So we are investigating those components of this proposal as well. And once we have that information, we will share with you via email. Board President, through you, any questions?
Yeah, I guess we'll just stay tuned to what you find out there. I'm a little apprehensive in that part of the district in particular of having an activity. But we can talk about that offline. Trustees, any questions?
Board President, if I may. My only question and concern, I'm hopeful that our weather will hold up, but are any of the vendors giving you a rain date if necessary as we get into our summer season?
I can speak to that. We are working on that in our negotiations as we're signing up with our vendors. So we're working on a rain date. If you look, that we had 2 dates in terms of, it was the 14th of June as well as the 16th, and we're trying to kind of hold both dates. But we may have to go rain or shine. It just depends on what they're willing to do. And as Ms. Stewart talked about, so many of the vendors, there's so much demand for tents and whatnot, so it's tough to hold them to multiple dates.
So just as a point of, when I graduated way back when at Southfield High, we had after our graduation, we had an overnight party, and we pretty much utilized the entire high school. So as maybe a contingency plan, if it's a weather issue, I know that we want to socially distance as much as possible and preferably outside, but maybe a contingency could be utilizing the entire school, having activities spread throughout, where it's like different types of events happening over the course of that evening, just as a possible consideration.
Okay.
Through the chair.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. It's certainly not to get too much into the weeds, but just to give voice to any of the families and particularly the students who may be wondering, because it was not stated for university regarding the young ladies wearing flats. The question was asked about flooring with university. I'm just curious to know the reasoning for the request or the requirement. It sounded like it was a requirement for Southfield A&T to wear flats. Is there a reason behind that? I certainly wouldn't want any of the students to feel slighted regarding their attire,
So
if that was something they felt.
yes, Trustee Smith Thomas, we went round and round about this, and actually it was the recommendation of the students that they wear those soft sole shoes. We initially started with this being on the football field, which you all know is made of turf, and they couldn't wear heels because it would penetrate. Then we moved to another area, that being a grass area. Again, the heels would sink into the dirt. Dean Williams mentioned theirs being behind the used gymnasium and adjacent to MacArthur on the parking lot area. So I think that is the significant difference, in that one is a hard surface and one is not a hard surface. So we're still working through the details, but that is the main difference between the two proposals at this time.
Okay, nope. When you said that it was the recommendation of the students, that was good enough for me. I just wanted to make sure that none of the students felt slighted with the differences, of course, being one community, two different schools, and talking with their peers, and kind of making that comparison about the two different events. So just wanted to bring voice to that.
Any other
the
comments,
President?
trustees? Yes, ma'am.
And I know we're working on things as funds are developing, and Dr. Green, thank you so much, and to Ms. Stewart and Dean. Is it possible that we are looking at a stage for the graduation, for the drive-through graduation, and how will that look as it's developing?
BB, I will let you speak to that. That is your baby.
I missed the last part of it. I missed some of the question.
Stages for the diploma distribution and the commencement, similar to what we had last year. The question was relative to the stages. What would that look like?
Okay, so we're in contact with our same vendor that we had last year, and so right now we're securing the same stages that we had. And also we're adding ramp access for our students with special needs as well. So last year when we worked with that company, we purchased the banners or the signs that are behind it. So we own those signs. So to work with them, we kind of cut some of our costs by already having purchased the signs. So we're already in talks and working it out. I should have more information by tomorrow.
Through the chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Regarding the graduation, are we looking to do the same thing as last year with the video presentations?
No, we're not.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments, trustees, or question? Hearing none, Dr. Green.
Thank you, sir. And we will try to be timely with our other announcements, but we know that those were things that our families and our trustees were very much interested in learning more about as we move through the conclusion of this academic school year and are able to provide our seniors with the proper send-off in this environment. The next item on the agenda is that of spring assessments. As I indicated earlier, we did start today and the team did an amazing job. Summer, if you would please just provide a high-level overview for our trustees and for our families.
Good evening, everyone. Board, Dr. Green. Today was day one of our state standardized assessment. Today we had the 5th graders taking the M-STEP, the PSAT 8 for our 8th graders, PSAT 9 for university, and all of our 11th graders were taking the SATs. Testing was very successful, as Dr. Green stated. Testing will continue until June 4th. So we have several different assessments going on at the same time. I do want to answer some questions that I've been receiving from meeting parents globally. And some of the questions that I've been receiving is testing mandatory this year? Testing is not mandatory, especially for our virtual families. Michigan Department of Education does not believe that virtual students should be required to come into the building just for testing. However, school districts have to offer testing to our virtual students. So if you are families and your virtual students, you do not have to come in. It's not mandatory. Another question that parents been reaching out to me about is, will my child be hindered from being promoted to the next grade or from graduation if they do not take the assessments? And the question is no. Your child will not be hindered from being promoted to the next grade or not graduate because they did not take assessments this year. Another question is, will my 11th grader have issues getting into college if he or she does not take the assessment? And the answer to that is various universities and colleges are having different requirements as it relates to if they need to take the SATs or not. And so please do your research as to what your university that your child's interested in, what if they require an SAT score or not. Some universities are waiving the SAT scores, and in place of the SAT scores, they're putting in place like essays and interviews. So you have to check with the admissions office of that university and or college to see what is the requirement and for admissions, and work with your school's counselor. They will have a lot more information regarding that. Another question that I'm receiving from families is, will it be other opportunities to take the assessment? And there are other opportunities to take the assessment, especially with our SATs. You can work with College Board. Now, the school district will not be offering the SATs again this school year, but you can work with College Board to see when are the other dates. And if you want them to take it more towards the end of the summer, you will have to do that outside of Southfield Public Schools. The last question that I did want to address is, can my child take the M-STEP or the PSAT/SAT virtually at home? And the answer is no. You cannot take high stakes testing and state standardized testing at home virtually. And so I did want to answer those questions because those are repeated questions that I am receiving from families. Tomorrow is day 2, and we will be taking day 2 of the M-STEP for our 5th graders. They will be taking the English Language Arts. University and Southfield Regional will be doing PSAT 10 for our 10th graders. And we're also doing ACT work keys for all the 11th graders. Also, I want to mention that iReady begins May 4th for our kindergartners through 8th grade, and it goes to June 4th. Teachers will inform their families as to when your child will take the iReady assessment. Now, the iReady assessment can be given virtually, as we have done throughout the entire school year. And so you will be receiving information from your school and your teacher as to when they will take the iReady assessment. And last but not least, I want to just take this opportunity to say thank you so much to our building coordinators and our building principals. They have worked extremely hard with me to make sure that our testing has been successful. Even right down to receiving guidance last night from the Michigan Department of Education. It's almost like we get emails every day with different guidance. And so I just say thank you so much for keeping up with the guidance and communicating with the families and communicating with myself, just to make sure that all of our assessment is taking and being successful. Families, if you have any questions regarding any of the assessments, please reach out to your building principals and your building testing coordinators. They are well equipped with all the information that you will need in order for your child to be successful. And I just say thank you so much to Dr. Green for your support and making sure that all of our assessments are successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Summer. You and the team have done an amazing job, as stated. I had a chance to visit 5 of the buildings today, and I do plan to visit more throughout the remainder of this testing cycle. But I can't commend you all enough for all of the protocols that you had in place to ensure that our children were safe, first and foremost, and able to successfully complete the assessment.
To the
Any
chair.
questions, President?
Well, yeah, actually more of a, before Trustee Bland, I need to actually excuse myself from the meeting. So at this time, I ask that Board Vice President, if you don't mind taking over, sir, the facilitation of this meeting. And I wish you all a good evening. Thank you all for all reports presented thus far. They were very informational and helpful. And look forward to following up and seeing the remainder of this session to understand what's going to be presented. So at this point, Board Vice President, if you can take over.
Be safe.
All right. Thank you all. Good night.
Good night, Board President.
Board Vice President, if you will entertain questions from the trustees relative to assessments. You're on mute, sir. Ms. Norris, can you unmute the board? Perfect. Perfect. Yes.
Okay, I yield to the board for questions.
Through the chair, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, and I heard Summer just, oh, you can't hear me? You can? Okay. I heard Summer just thank the building principals and all the staff inside, and I did not know that I was going to be able to get to see some of the schools as they were testing, but I happened to get an invitation since I was at JWE from Dr. Green to see what we were doing inside of some of the schools, and I must say that it was extremely safe. It was good to see the teachers and the people administering the test. But most of all, I have to commend Summer for just taking the time to go to these schools with one student testing. And I just thought it was just so admirable. And I know we talk about— I
cannot hear Asante Bland.
Can anyone else not hear me?
I think everyone else is able to hear. Board Vice President, are you not able to hear?
So I just wanted to thank everyone, and especially Summer, for really taking the helm of this program. Dr. Green, thank you for allowing and inviting me to see this. It was extremely unexpected, but it was such a treat to see the kids working and to see how prepared the buildings were for these assessments. So kudos to all of you, and thank you for your hard work.
Board Vice President, are you able to hear me? I'm
No,
not sure. Okay, I'm not sure that he's able to hear anyone. You are unmuted right now. When you're on mute, are you able to hear us?
no, can't hear you.
Okay. What I can do is I can turn on, I can have my cell phone on connected to you so you can hear them through my computer via your cell phone. I'll be creative with this, and then I'll call on Mr. Lake if that doesn't work.
He may have to dial in.
Dr. Green? Yes. Okay, I'm not sure what happened. Okay, sounds good. Yes. Okay, okay.
Okay, if I could just ask one of the trustees to speak so that we can ensure that Vice President is able to hear through the cell phone.
Testing.
Board Vice President, can you shake your head if you were able to hear
I
Secretary?
can.
Okay, excellent. So we will make it work this way. There may be a bit of an echo. So Board Vice President, are there any other questions?
Through the
Yes,
chair.
yes, go right ahead.
Yes, not a question, just a comment, especially with the resolution we passed as a board in support of waiving the assessments. Obviously, we know that that was not successful, but the fact that the state has made a statement, a strong statement about not forcing families into the building for taking the test, and for us being flexible and honoring that as well. So just want to commend you for staying on top of that and making sure we are honoring our families. And then also all of those questions, those very specific questions you answered, I'm sure helped to ease many of the families who were concerned about that, because we do know that you know, assessments are important. And so we certainly don't want any additional stress or added pressures because of the times we are in right now. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any other questions?
Okay, Board Vice President, I will move on. Southfield Public Schools is the proud recipient of the Gear Up Grant, which will serve our students in grade 7 throughout their freshman year in college. So we're very pleased to have received that. And I know that there's a bit of an echo, so I won't expound on that, but I will share that we will have that information posted on our district webpage, and we will also have power hours for our parents to learn more about the Gear Up program. And Gear Up stands for Gaining Early Awareness and Readiness for Undergraduate Programs. We are partnered with the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, and this is yet another program coming to us at no cost to our families or district. Any questions regarding that?
Yes, any questions? Any more questions?
Okay.
Yes.
I will move on to the next item. The next item is that of vaccination opportunities. I did receive an email from Ascension Providence today. They are expanding their sites for vaccines in our community as well as others, specifically that of at the Southfield Civic Center. I will forward that information out to everyone. They are also seeking volunteers. People wish to work for the vaccine clinics. That information will be forthcoming to all of our community as well. Last and definitely not least, our Board of Education can be extremely proud of itself as it pertains to our Moody bond ratings. Moody bond ratings would be the equivalent of that of your credit score. When this administration first came into the Southfield Public Schools, we had a Moody's rating of B. We now have an A1 Moody's bond rating. Furthermore, there were 630 plus districts that were subject to a reduction in their credit score or their bond rating. Southfield was one of the 5 districts out of 600 plus that did not have a reduction. So you should be quite proud of yourself to now be at an A1 bond rating.
No. No questions. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. I'm not sure if any of the trustees had any questions regarding those informational items.
Yes. I yield to the board to ask questions if you have it. I'm not sure if they can hear me.
They can hear you, sir.
Okay.
And hearing no questions at this time, we will move down to the action items.
Okay.
I believe the consent agenda is next.
Okay, I move that we vote on the consent agenda for the approval of the consent agenda, approval of the minutes for March the 23rd.
So moved.
I second.
And support. Secretary, would you take the, record the vote?
Trustee Bland,
Yes.
trustee Ware Duvall,
Yes.
trustee Johnson,
Yes.
trustee Rice,
Yes.
trustee Joyce,
Yes.
myself, yes.
Okay, Board Vice President.
Okay. I move that we bring forth the report 5958. The further consolidate Appropriations Act 2021.
And I believe that is the Head Start report.
That's the Head Start report, yes.
And that is something that all of the trustees received in advance. Furthermore, it was discussed at the Saturday governance session that many of you attended. On our call this evening is Director Hill. If there are any questions, once it's moved that it's opened and seconded before discussion.
So moved.
Support.
Do I just, okay, support, okay. Secretary, would you take the vote?
Are there any questions first, Vice President?
Yes, are there any questions? Are there any questions on this report? If not, would you take the vote? Please take the vote, Secretary.
A point of clarity, perhaps there is discussion that the superintendent was calling for before we call for the vote. Through the chair, please.
Yes, go right ahead, Superintendent. Dr. Green.
Director Hill is on the call.
I'm getting a little feedback, so go right ahead. I'm sorry about that, but I am getting some feedback.
That's okay. I am as well. So Director Hill is on the line. Director Hill, if you would give a high-level overview for the trustees before they take the vote.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, trustees. Good evening, Dr. Green, and good evening, community. Just to share, in December, approximately December 27, 2020, there was a vote to approve the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021 in order to give an increase for staff and wages that work for the office, work for Head Start. And they're looking at a 1.22% increase in their salaries. Is there any additional information that is needed or any questions?
No, thank you, Mrs. Hill. Unless any of the trustees have questions, that is the COLA that was approved by the Office of Head Start.
Yes, ma'am.
So is there any questions for?
No questions. I just want to tell Director Hill I'm wearing purple for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you today.
Okay, so are we ready to take a vote?
Yes, I believe you are, sir.
Okay, Secretary, would you please take a vote?
Trustee Rice,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson,
Yes.
Trustee Ware Duval,
Yes.
Trustee Bland,
Yes.
Trustee Joyce,
Yes.
myself, yes. Unanimous.
Okay. Entertain a motion for report 59, the talent management personnel action report. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Support.
Any discussion for?
I have a question for the superintendent regarding the report as it relates to the most recent updates. Perhaps I was misunderstanding in the information that came forth. The updates, I didn't see those 3 names. Is that going to be taken care of in the next meeting following the study session?
Yes, ma'am. They're actually going to occur prior to the study session next week or in 2 weeks in
Okay.
closed session to ensure that you're able to vote in open session.
Correct. Okay, very good. I was just off with my timing. So, okay, thank you.
Any more questions, board? Okay, at this time, Secretary, could you take the vote?
Trustee Bland,
Yes.
Trustee Ware Duval,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson,
Yes.
Trustee Rice,
Yes.
Trustee Joyce,
Yes.
myself, yes. Unanimous.
Okay, so we're moving on now to informational items. Dr. Green, do you want to discuss with us about report 5980?
So works Vice President Intrica and in challenges with the board to table these items until the study session to ensure that you have everything reviewed.
Dr. Green, you're muted.
That sounds good to me.
Apparently I was muted and they couldn't hear me. Can you hear me now, Mr. Lake? Okay.
Yes.
So given that we are having some technology challenges and we have provided that information to all of the trustees, is it the pleasure of the board that we table these informational items to the next study session to ensure that you have an opportunity to thoroughly review them, and then we perhaps consider making them information and action at the study session, given the challenges we're facing tonight?
Board, what's your pleasure?
I have no objections.
I was gonna say through the chair, no objections.
Okay, so at this time, we can table it, Dr. Green.
Okay, so we will table all of the informational items, and if any trustees have any questions for the administration, we will gladly answer those questions between now and the study session. And then we will go through a thorough report at the study session in the interest of time and our technology challenges this evening.
All right. Okay, so we're going to move on to the monthly financial update. Are we doing that tonight?
I asked that we table that as well.
Okay. As well as bill disbursement report?
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
So we're going right into public participation?
Yes.
Okay.
And if Ms. Norris sees any hands raised and she wishes to unmute those individuals, I yield to her at this time. I don't see any. I'm not sure if she does. Ms. Norris?
Oh, yes, Dr. Green. First, we have Crystal Sanford.
I can't hear that. Say that again.
We have Crystal Sanford. So if she could unmute and address the board.
Okay, then, thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good, yes, thank you. Good evening to Dr. Green and the trustees of the board and to the educators that are online and to the community and families. I'll be really quick because I do hear the feedback and the technology issues. I wanted to address, and I look at this as an intent versus the impact, the request for cashier's check for the fees for the seniors. I think that's going to incur a cost for the families. And, you know, to me, it looks, noting the composition and the demographics of the population within the schools, it almost looks as if there's a lack of trust that there is going to be a request for a cashier's check that the parents are going to have to pay for. So would there be another option to accept maybe a money order, which will be a less of a cost? And then my other question was, will there be background checks of all, or requests for background checks for all the vendors that are going to be on site? And I know you're going to have a lot of chaperones, but to assure that all the companies have individuals that have had background checks for the senior event. And one last question I have is the yard signs. My granddaughter graduated from Bussey last year, and because we live in an HOA, we weren't allowed to post the sign in my front yard. And so it was a little disappointing. And I was wondering if, you know, maybe some other families that may live in an HOA that have regulations like that, if there would be an alternative sign, maybe like a vehicle sign. And those are my questions. Thanks for allowing me to entertain them.
Board VP, I will definitely reach out to Ms. Sanford Brown on tomorrow and address all of her questions.
Next is Matthew Enox.
Who is that now?
Mr. Enox, if you can unmute him, he can address the board.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hi, good evening, board. Good evening, Dr. Green. Good evening, community. My name is Mr. Matthew Enox. I'm a proud teacher at Bernie, 8th grade teacher. And I have a question related to the reopening plan. I know myself, staff members, students, and community members have been seeing a lot of the recent rise in cases in Michigan, especially in our community. And given the recent statements of the CDC, which they sort of made a blanket statement earlier this week about how Michigan should shut down in order to avoid more community spread. And also the governor gave a very generic statement about what schools should be able, or communities should do to shut down for their own purposes. I wonder, what metrics will we be using as a school district in order to determine whether or not our entire district or individual schools may need to shut down once we reopen in our hybrid format?
Thank you, Board President. I will send that metrics out to the entire staff as well as to the trustees and to our families on tomorrow. I will say this, please know that we are working extremely close with the Oakland County Health Department. We have several nurses in our district every day, and we continue to monitor the cases as well as the close contacts throughout our district.
Thank you, Dr. Green. Thank you, Dr. Green.
Thank you, sir. We have Ms. Kathy Slate up next.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Just have three concerns. One of my main concerns is how the district is notifying staff regarding positive cases. I had to look on the dashboard to see that we had a positive case at Thompson. While I understand and am well aware of HIPAA laws in terms of people's health privacy, I am not asking anyone to give me any detailed information, but I do think staffs need to be notified when there is a positive case in the building. Just basically letting us know that it was a positive case and what precautions were taken. It didn't seem like this was a district policy. I did inquire with my administration, and they didn't seem to know of a policy as to why staff are not notified when there is a positive case in the building. So I just didn't see any district policy with regards to that. So I think that is something that's important, that people be notified that we have a person that has a deadly virus. Everybody's not vaccinated yet, so I just think that's something that needs to be clarified. My second concern is with the student learning objectives that teachers are required to do for their evaluation, and the lack of guidance from the district received to staff with regards to how to do this. In my opinion, and from the teachers that I've spoken with, it seems to be additional work for us to do, because we didn't get the proper guidance with regards to how to do this. We had one meeting at the end of January, and the example that was provided had information from back in September, but we never received that information. So the fact that we just, I know in our building, and I'm sure my principal had just received it that same day as well, just received information with regards to this as of last Thursday. And I just think it's kind of unfair to burden staff with additional things. And some staff had even already been evaluated. So now, you know, they're having to go back and double back and do these two extra things that we hadn't received any guidance on. So I'm just hoping that the district will provide us with additional guidance with that. My last and final concern is with getting screens in the windows as it's getting warm outside and at Thompson. And I prefer not to have squirrels, bees, or anything inside of my classroom with children. But I do want to be able to open up the window to get fresh air. Yes, we do have air purifiers, but there's still nothing like the fresh air that can come from outside just to cool the rooms down. And I know that it was requested and it was told, it was said that it had to be equitable, and that's the reason why we weren't getting any. But I just think, to me, in this era of COVID and being in warm buildings with no air, I think, you know, that's something, a consideration or expense. I think that, you know, the district can maybe revisit and try to find ways, not just for Thompson, because I'm sure Thompson's not the only one that don't have screens, but to not be in hot, possibly COVID virus rolling around in the room. I think we need to have proper screens. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Slate. Board Vice President, we will get back with Ms. Slate on tomorrow as well. So just so you know, we're trying to move through with the technology challenges, but the instructional and operational team will draft a joint response to Ms. Slate's concerns. Next, I think we have Ms. Marcia Binion.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marcia Binion, and I'm the parent of Marissa Binion, who attends Kinney Learning Center. And I'm also a member of the Southfield Public Schools Parent Advisory Committee. I wanted to bring to the board's attention that our school, well, our class in particular, I'm sure there's other classrooms as well, is having a very difficult technology problems, just as we're having this evening. I had to laugh when Mr. Joyce could say he couldn't hear anybody, because that's exactly what we've been experiencing during our virtual class time for several weeks now. And it's very discouraging when our teacher has to work so hard to get everything up and running to be heard so that she can give us instruction. Last week, several parents, we even kicked off the program several times. They had to keep rejoining. And it's very disruptive, not only for the teacher, because she's having to take time during the middle of the classroom to give us the instruction, but also for our students, because, you know, it's very difficult for our special needs students to attend to a computer anyway. So I'm hoping that there's something that the board can do to remedy that. Ron has been out on several occasions, but I don't know if that's something that someone else can come in and assist them with or what, but we really do appreciate the time that we get for virtual class, and we would like to have as much time as possible with our instructors. And secondly, I was wondering if the board would consider providing special needs students and their families with COVID vaccinations. It would be so wonderful if we could actually take those vaccinations to their homes. It is extremely stressful and high anxiety runs when we have to take our kids for medical shots, checkups, and everything else. And these centers where the vaccinations are taking place are not equipped to accommodate our students, our children. My daughter will not wear a mask. When she gets in a place she's not familiar with, she can have a meltdown, and it's extremely stressful. Our parents want our kids to go to school, but we can't do that unless they are safe. And vaccination is certainly an option for us. I think that we would have more parents open to it if they could actually have someone come to their home. Maybe when lunches are delivered, they can also deliver the vaccine. Maybe that's something that Ascension could assist us with, or Oakland Health Department, since they've been such great consultants to the district. Maybe that's something that they could facilitate for us. But I really wish that the board would look into that. I do plan on bringing this up with Dr. Freeman at our monthly meeting when we have that with our PAC, and see if that's another alternative to get families vaccinated, safe, and students back in school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice President Joyce, I will say that we have had a number of conversations with Oakland County as well as Ascension, and unfortunately the school district, we are not medical specialists, therefore we do not receive allocations of the vaccine. The vaccine actually goes directly to that of the hospitals and or that of the respective county health departments. So that would be an initiative or a program that they would have to implement. However, we can share that information with them. We are trying to get as many of our families vaccinated. We are working with local as well as county level individuals to make the sites closer to our district. However, we are at the mercy of the allocations that come from the federal government to the state government, then to the respective counties and or hospitals. So we have very, very little control over that, but we will continue to work with our partners to provide additional access for our families.
Thank you, Dr. Green. And I just want to let you know I did solve the problem. Don't ask me how, but I solved the problem of my audio.
Good. We'll send you over to KLC so you can help our babies over there too. So thank you. So I'm going to turn off my phone if you can hear on the computer.
Yes,
excellent.
I can hear now.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
I do believe we have one additional person that had their hand.
Okay.
Ms. Norris, do you see who that
Yes.
individual is?
Yes, I just unmuted Vakita Phillips.
Okay, excellent.
Hi, yes, can you guys hear me?
We
Yes.
can.
Okay, so I am a secretary over at Thompson, and I know it was mentioned about the COVID vaccine and the cases that were going on. Is there some way we can get a generic letter that is district-wide that we can send out to parents when certain cases come about? Or I don't know how all of that is handled and all of the protocols, because why we have issues that may come, we may have to send the student home or whatever the case may be, or parents may be calling in saying, hey, we've been exposed. How is that information disseminated to these families? Are we doing that within the school or are we doing it district-wide? That's my first question. The second question is the continuity of the students in regards to substitutes. When we have substitutes, they're not trained to do the Schoology, and they're not trained in a sense where it can be easily, I guess, converted for them to do the classes. Then we get the complaints from the parents. That poses an issue because if they've been in that position for a minute and then all of a sudden there's another change, it causes an issue with the parents because why now we got to get them reacclimated, the students that is, to another teacher or whatever the case may be in regards to getting them learning. So how is that being put together in regards to the substitutes, because why they need the training? I know there's a training coming up, but we need something like when they sign up for these classes or for that position, something that they can do right then and there, test or whatever, and be able to take that position on before they come into the school.
Okay. And Board Vice President, we will reach out to Ms. Phillips as well on tomorrow. All of the issues that pertain specifically to that of district level operations will be handled by the administration, and they will reach out. I know you did not have an opportunity to read the public participation statement at the beginning of the public participation that speaks to if there is an issue with administration and or something in the school, to take it to the building level administration and or to the appropriate person prior to lifting to the board. So I did just want to mention that, and also let everyone know that their concerns will be addressed, because there are some technical things behind the scenes, specifically as it pertains to contact tracing. Trustees, you are aware that we call you and update you as frequent as possible. We contact trace with the Oakland County Health Department. We don't actually do the tracing to tell someone if they are positive or if they have to quarantine for 10 days or 14 days. There's so many different variables. Therefore, a blanket letter would not capture adequately what it needs to say for every case. However, I will state this: anyone that has been positive and or in close contact as identified by the Oakland County Health Department has received not only a letter, but a phone call from the building level, sometimes from the district level, and sometimes from the county as well. So some families have received 3 phone calls as well as a letter. And if there is a classroom that had a positive case and or secondary contacts, then we send a letter to those individuals as well. It is very time consuming, which is why we put the dashboard on our district homepage. We strive to communicate as quickly, but more importantly, as accurately as possible. We don't want to provide any false information and or violate any HIPAA laws as it pertains to people's privacy rights. So we hear you. We are trying to get that information to you in a timely manner. Oftentimes when the cases are identified and or the person tests in another county, it delays our ability to get that information from the neighboring counties. So it's not as easy as those that test within Oakland County. So please know that we are continuing to try to get that information to you as quickly as possible.
Thank you.
It's a Miss Crystal Bailey on the line.
Okay.
Now, how long will the appointment be?
Miss Bailey?
Oh, wait, hold a second. Hear me? I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we
hear you.
Can you guys hear me? Okay. Yes, I'm Crystal Bailey, and I was just wanting to say it's great to see so many things happening in the district. It is great to see so many programs happening, and I wonder if someone asked about the middle school credit restoration program. Is there anything? I think someone did ask that question, but I don't remember the answer about the middle school credit restoration. And I also want to say that I am a resident of Oak Park. I was vice president of Oak Park Schools, and I'm currently running for the mayor of Oak Park in this upcoming election. So just wanted to introduce myself and wonder if there was any restoration for middle school.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Vice President, although I did address that, we will send that information to Ms. Bailey as well so that she has it in writing from the district relative to our middle school offerings.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Green. Mr. Norris, anyone else?
I do not see anyone else.
Okay. So at this time, we're going to announce that we're going to go into closed session.
Actually, Vice President, I was speaking with talent management behind the scenes, and she said that we can forego the closed session for this evening as well, because that would
Okay.
require us to toggle between two platforms, and I'm not sure that we have that ability this evening based on what we recently experienced. So if
Okay.
it is okay with the board and there are no objections, we will schedule something to occur relatively soon regarding that matter.
Okay, is the board okay with that?
No objections.
Okay. Okay. So for the good of the order, do we have anyone that has anything that they need to share with us for the good of the order?
I have just one thing through the chair, please. Just in support of the advocacy work that we are charged to do, I think that this is the perfect opportunity for us to chime in with the State Board of Education meetings, especially during this time of virtual meetings. I'm not sure if their meetings are virtual. I was doing some digging today on the MDE website, and actually I'm just going to call Tiffany Tilley, to be honest, and just find out exactly how they're meeting, so that we can, it's a perfect opportunity to get on their public comment, to review the agenda and make public comment, just so that we're in the know and that Southfield continues to be on their mind. Although I know Tiffany Tilley is doing a wonderful job representing us, being here in Southfield, but that's a great space, especially as we look at those education credits with MASB. That would be one of those opportunities to earn those credits as well. So just wanted to throw that out there as a friendly reminder, and the space, especially for the new trustees, if you were wondering what are some other advocacy things that you could do. And I think that in the virtual space, it may be a little more convenient to chime into those meetings as opposed to driving up to Lansing and sitting through, which I've done in the past. But I'm definitely going to take advantage of being able to just log on if and when I can.
Thank you, Board Secretary. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, no problem.
Yes. Anyone else on the board have anything to say for the good of the order? No? Okay, so at this time, I'm just going to announce the future meetings. Tuesday, April 27, 2021, 7 p.m. is our regular board meeting. And Tuesday, May the 11th, 2021 at 6 p.m., a special board meeting study session. And with that being all, I'm going to call for adjournment. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Have a great night, everyone.
Good night, and thank
Night.
you. Good night,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Good evening,
Good night,
everyone.
Bye-bye.